This transition we call force the mount is key for your jiu-jitsu for two reasons. First, this move allows you to transition from side control to mount. At our school, we named this specific side control number 3. Basically, it's the side control where you are controlling their head and arm. If you've watched more than one video, go ahead and subscribe. Today, we're drilling top mount attacks, positions, and transitions every BJJ player must know in order to be considered for a belt promotion at our school. You'll understand how these techniques can fit together. Finally, you'll see some advanced techniques for overachieving blue belts. You know who you are. So gable grip their head and arm, then use your far side elbow as a lever along with your knee to pry them open like you're shucking an oyster. Here's the second reason why this transition will help you. When they try to guillotine you and you pass to the opposite side that your head's on, it puts you exactly in this position. If this is ever happening to you, get the same head and arm control, aka side control 3, and windshield both of your legs over, and this gives you the transition to finish the arm triangle choke. You can finish the arm triangle choke even if they hang on or if they decide to be smart and let go of your head. I'll explain why later. As a side note, if you're trying to get to mount from side control by using this force the mount transition and they frame hard into your neck, which basically kills the vibe of forcing the mount, you can then transition to this reverse crucifix.
A little bit. We can head to the crib in a little bit. I can show you how I live in a little bit. 50 coming out your stereos. Hard to tell though, cause I switch the flow. Eyes a little low, cause I twist the jaw. Pockets on swell, cause I move the O's. My neck, my wrist, my ears is froze. Come get you, she on me dog. She must have heard about the dough. Now
when you're training, be careful because your partner's arm can get caught around your neck during this arm triangle choke. And basically, it's a Kimura, so you can see the look on Gary's face. It's definitely painful for his shoulder. To the helicopter, yo. Cops pulling up like I'm giving drugs out, nah. I'm a pop star, not a doctor. Calling my phone like I'm locked up, non-stop. From the plane to the helicopter, yo. Cops pulling up like I'm giving drugs out, nah. I'm a pop star, not a doctor. Calling my phone like I'm locked up, non-stop. Here are the advanced options. If they answer the phone to defend the arm triangle, a curriculum technique here is this Americana. If they start to turn, get a rear naked choke grip and you can finish the head and arm with a rear naked choke grip. Here are two techniques to maintain mount so you can defend against their mount escapes. This first technique is called grapevines, where you hook their legs with your legs and drive your hips into them, which creates pressure and makes you feel extremely heavy. The second technique to maintain mount is a crossface, and when you combine this with threatening an Ezekiel, which is perfect because the crossface is the first step, and a nogi Ezekiel. So when you first do a crossface, then you transition into threatening a nogi Ezekiel, it gets their elbows up, which gives you a mount position called high mount. High mount is the mount position when your quads or your knees are in their armpits. The advantage you get from high mount is that you're not on their hips anymore, so their bridge is not as effective, which means you decreased the effectiveness of their mount escape. If you watched my last video on mounted triangle attacks, I mentioned you can do other attacks if you capture the arm. Here are these attacks. The first is the spiral armbar. If they twist their elbow, you can put your leg over the head and control the elbow to turn the spiral armbar into a monoplata. Here's another rep of this mount attack series. First, we maintain the mount with grapevines. We crossface and threaten the nogi Ezekiel to get to the high mount position and swim to trap their arm. From high mount, with their trapped arm, we have options. We can armbar using either the spiral armbar or the monoplata. Here's this mount attack series with a different attack option to finish that I prefer and did an entire video on, the mounted triangle. So your third option is to get a mounted triangle. I prefer triangles, and using the triangle, it could even be the crappiest choke in the world. Just get a triangle and attack the arm. So the reason why I prefer triangles in attacking the arm with a triangle hold is because if the armbar doesn't work, you still have their head and arm. If you hop off of them to spiral armbar and they escape the armbar, you have to scramble to regain control. And the chances of that happening isn't as great as if you already have their head and arm in a triangle. Here is a mount position called the S mount. I prefer doing mounted triangles to S mount, but that's just because I'm better at mounted triangles. This transition to S mount is what I'm currently working on during live rolls. From S mount, you can armbar the near side arm, Americana the far side arm, shotgun armbar the near side arm. You can shotgun armbar the near side arm while you Americana the far side arm, and you can do these two wrist locks. If you're attacking an Americana on their far side arm and they straighten to defend, you can attack a reverse armbar. You can attack a reverse armbar while you even shotgun armbar their near side arm. And just to be sure that far arm is done, you can transition to armbar the far side arm.
Still going bad on you anyway. I can feel like 80 rats in my Marys. Me and Drizzy back to back is getting scary. Put some bins all on your head like Jason Terry. Richard Millie cuss a Lambo. Known to keep the better on commando. Every time I'm in my trap, I move like Rambo. Ain't a neighborhood in Philly that I can't go. For real. She said, oh, you rich. Graduated, call me Big Fish. I got Lori Hurry on my wish list. Still going bad on you.
The nogi Ezekiel is one of those techniques that has nuances. I found when I tried doing this live with the traditional grip, they would bridge and roll and I'd have no choke. Well, Craig Jones showed this RNC grip, so if they do bridge and roll, you still have a hold of their neck and can finish this nogi Ezekiel choke from the bottom of guard. And I've even heard you can do that inside guard, but don't tell anybody I told you that.
To defend. So how do we do the grip, right? I reach through as deep as possible with a cross-face arm. And when you do this, obviously don't keep your head center here, because if I go deep here, keep my weight on this side, I got no post, and Chase could bridge and roll quite easily. So as my cross-face arm comes in, so does my head. Now it's going to be much more difficult for him to bridge and roll over his left shoulder. I'm going to reach for my left bicep here, and at the same time, we pummel that hand in. So a mistake people make is they grab the bicep, and then they try to pummel the hand. You're never going to get the hand in, right? So everything comes at once here. So you can see I'm passing it under Chase's chin. And a lot of guys will do it sort of like in the gi, where they'll place their forearm into the guy's throat. But because we don't have the luxury of grips in no-gi, what I do is I bring it under my armpit here. So now both hands are hidden, right? If we compare it, if I just place it in front of Chase's neck here, he's gonna reach to and find these fingers. and he's going to clear it. If I place it under my armpit, now Chase tries to find it. He can find the fingers, but watch, he pushes it into my own armpit.
Doesn't really help me.
And then we can start applying pressure. So to apply the pressure, really I'm just bringing elbows down and together. And we get that.
It's
down.
really tight. It's no joke.
Yeah, so that's the trick, right? Is obviously the earlier he defends it, better chance he has to get out. That's why when we're rolling, I'll just put it here and Chase will just rip it out. Maybe we keep rolling, I go for it again, he rips it out again. And then that third time, he doesn't respect it anymore. And he lets me place the hand under the armpit. So now I'm gonna gently apply and Chase is gonna fight out 100%. Once it's in, it's in. And we can also hit it under mount. I won't name any names, but he is sitting in the room right now. The best time to set this up is when they're actually in side control. And they've got this double underhooks position. So I reach through and cuff that far shoulder here. You can see Chase, he couldn't be in a better position for control here. Because he's got two underhooks, I can't turn away, I can't turn in. So I just rest this arm here. And now as Chase takes mount, watch what happens. He lifts his head high. And it makes it very easy for me to swing this arm through. And now as I start applying pressure, we get the same submission. But again, if he's already in mount, it can be harder to get this position because his head's up, and generally speaking, guys will sometimes let go of these double underhooks to just keep one underhook for their attacks. But if Chase is back in side control and he's thinking about mount, and I'm turning, I'm pretending like I'm trying to block it, his head rises, we get that bicep grip, and we come through our own armpit here. So again, now, I've got it established, I'm not applying it, and Chase is now gonna try to fight out. And we get the submission. So, I mean, it's bullshit, but it does cause guys to overreact to things or underreact to things, and then we
It's legit. As much as I hate it, it works. It's super strong. There's the other guy.
Finally, that far side shoulder. I found that if I think about pointing the top of my shoulder downward towards my toes, I get the angle correct. The most common mistake in this choke that I make is trying to drive my shoulder upward towards their head. For some reason, the leverage on the grapevines just makes this a natural tight feel like I'm doing a back extension, but I try to just focus the shoulder downward. It was great spending time with you. If you learned something from this video, or maybe was just mildly entertained, go ahead and subscribe. Remember, you can do, be, or have anything. I love you, and until next time.